reduce helicopter turnaround time and increase the on-station time of his helicopters, the aviation commander will deploy a forward arming and refueling point. The FARP will provide first-line resupply and maintenance to helicopters operating in the battle area using unit or wing combat service support resources. Tentative primary and alternate FARP locations and their approach and departure routes are initially selected from the map. Intervisibility checks are required as part of the selection process. The location and its approach and departure routes must be in defilade to enemy radars, which are assumed to be operating from high ground on their side of the FIBA. These locations are then cleared with higher headquarters to ensure they conform with the dispositions and intentions of friendly ground forces. In this way, the FARP is tied into the formation air defense umbrella. Nearby support or maneuver units are notified and placed on weapons hold for helicopters for the duration of the FARP's operation. The scale of support a FARP is tasked with providing will determine the size of the landing zone and the number of refueling and rearming areas necessary to service the expected traffic load. A FARP will likely cover the better part of a grid square and is normally located 17 to 25 kilometers behind the helicopter battle positions, far enough from the FIBA to be out of range of enemy medium artillery. Frequent moves can be expected, depending on the distance from the FIBA and the tactical situation. A dismounted reconnaissance of a potential FARP location is necessary to confirm that it is accessible to wheeled vehicles, offers hard standing, contains no obstacles to landing aircraft, and is free of NBC contamination. The FARP is structured to include reporting points and arrival holding areas at the end of the approach routes, an LZ, which may include a control entity, weapons maintenance, refueling, and rearming areas with one or more points to handle an individual aircraft, a departure holding area, and its associated exit routes and release points. Movement to the FARP should be planned in detail to include advance parties, vehicle and trailer loads, movement tables, and route information. The deployment order should include details on the alternate location in case a last-minute change is required. On arrival at the FARP location, the advance party initiates local security by establishing air, ground, and NBC sentries, and reports in with an estimated operational time. An LZ is established at the approach end of the FARP. A small air traffic control detachment may be positioned nearby to handle helicopter movements around and within the FARP. The weapons maintenance area is located so that aircraft can enter it directly from the LZ. Here, any ordnance or weapons problems can be safely handled prior to the helicopter going into the refueling and rearming cycle. The refueling area is set up with fuel sources at least 30 meters away from and generally upwind of their servicing points. The rearming area is generally positioned upwind and well away from refueling activities to reduce the destructive potential of a fuel explosion. Each of its ammo points contains a complete mix of ordnance. Most of the load normally remains on wheels, as much of it could be lost should the FARP be forced to rapidly relocate. FARP concealment is assisted by maintaining track discipline and proper camouflaging of vehicles and ammunition emplacements. Every servicing point requires a set of ground rods, which all aircraft are connected to prior to the start of any work. If time and the tactical situation permits, Internal routes linking the various sites are marked using engineer tape. The FARP is laid out in such a manner that aircraft land and take off into a head or quartering wind. Helicopters with jammed guns or misfired rockets and missiles enter the FARP's weapons maintenance area before going into the rearming and refueling cycle. Jammed guns are fitted with bullet catchers, cleared and test fired. Misfired rockets or missiles are treated as armed, removed, and stored safely pending their demolition. Only those aircraft with malfunctions in their weapons systems that cannot be repaired in situ will be sent back for second-line repairs. Within the refueling area, individual aircraft refueling points are established. The refueling point controller directs this operation and guides helicopters to a servicing point using standard marshalling signals. Under battle conditions, hot closed circuit refueling will be normal. His crew consists of the refueler, fire guard, and the equipment operator. Once any passengers or non-essential crew have dismounted, the pilot indicates ready and the controller signals the refueling crew to move in. The aircraft is grounded, then the fuel nozzle is grounded to the helicopter. These actions are vital since static electricity builds up on the aircraft as they fly and on refueling equipment as fuel is pumped. The refueler opens the helicopter refueling port, removes the fuel nozzle dust cover, and connects the hose to the helicopter receptacle. The fire guard mans a dry chemical fire extinguisher upwind and at a point where he can provide the best protection to the refueler and also retain contact with the refueling point controller. When the desired fuel level is reached, the pilot signals the point controller, who relays the cutoff to his crew. The equipment operator shuts down the fuel supply at its source. The refueler disconnects the nozzle and caps it, replaces the helicopter fuel port cap, and disengages the ground wires. When the pilot gives thumbs up, the controller signals the refueling crew away from the aircraft and for the crew or passengers to mount up. He then directs the helicopter away from the refueling point. Within the rearming area, individual servicing points are manned by qualified personnel. They land each aircraft and reload its guns, rocket pods, and missile stations. The first step in rearming is to ground the aircraft. This is vital, since both chain guns and rockets could be accidentally fired by a voltage surge. Helicopter gunships are loaded front to rear, and from inboard to outboard. Each weapon is armed after it is loaded. When rearming is completed, the helicopter moves to a departure holding area and rejoins the remainder of the flight for the return to their battle positions. The deployment of a properly situated FARP enables a helicopter unit to keep at least 1/3 of its strength in the battle area, with another third in the FARP and the remainder in transit. In this way, a constant on-station presence is maintained, with the unit's helicopters carrying out their various functions of transportation, observation, target acquisition, and destruction of enemy air and ground assets.